on, finish the chapter, and then go from there. Ah. Oh, this is Nico. How did you find? Don't move. You're still bleeding. Yeah, no biggie. It's improperly stitched up and bandaged. Although the disinfectant still burns. You won't hold the store manager responsible for this, will you? No, of course not. It has nothing to do with this. I'm just happy I got away without any major injuries. I should get medal for this. Ouch. Stop poking me. It hurts. What's all tough guy talk? You're still shaking like a leaf. No, I can't help it. You probably won't believe me if I told you what happened last night. Try me. You sure? Yep. I have to say, I wasn't expecting to see a monster with wings of the size of a bus. Honestly, it all didn't seem real until it was over. I bet it taught you a lesson. Consider yourself educated. Even though the tuition fee is a bit steep. You know what? I think it's useful to learn something outside my comfort zone every once in a while. So much heartfelt honesty. One big night with a big bet was all it took to scare you straight? Unfortunately, yes. If only I have to make a decision day earlier. I could have prevented a lot of misery and people from getting hurt. That day, just a night earlier might have helped. I could have prevented the worst from happening, but it all turned into this mess instead. Whether right or wrong, I know everything we do gives our lives meaning, but right now, I just feel utterly helpless. Still struggling with that? I'm sorry, okay? I'll admit that was a bit insensitive just now, but you didn't have to... To what? Don't worry, I'm not a coward. I did what had to be done. Judging by how everything turned out. Oh, you're right. You're right all along. Don't worry, sir. Blame, okay? Okay, I didn't think it was ever possible to come out of all this a clear winner, anyway. Nico, can you answer one question for me? How many times have you encountered something like that before? Not too often. I'm not really keen on remembering them. Really? I see. It sounds like something's bothering you. Yeah, you could say that. After 20 years, she finally reunited their family again. You seem to have gone through a lot yesterday. The worst possibility I could envision before last night was that someone forced the old lady to kill. I almost lost my life because of that mistaken judgment. It's right all over your face. And to be honest, it was sheer luck that helped me survive yesterday. Mistakes were made, but at least the monster didn't have time to do even more damage than it already did. Instead, it gave up the chance to give me the finishing blow, grab the old lady by the shoulders, and begin to fly away as far as it could, almost as if we're fleeing. He was trying to escape his food? From that perspective, it's easy to see why I picked her. You would have put up too much of a fight. Yeah, it made its choice. And failed? Yeah, you could say that. You can imagine the result of a crash like that. It took the old lady with it too. Was it really that high up? It just wasn't a normal scent, you know. The speed and velocity, it was like a rocket messed up its launch direction. It didn't show the slightest tension to letting her go, though. The old lady was worried about its injuries, but I doubt the creature could understand its feelings. Have you ever witnessed something like that, Nico? I'm glad I haven't. You're making that thing sound too much like a person for my liking. I don't like it either. I have no idea what was going through its mind. They don't think and feel like us, do they, Nico? I have no idea. Those bandages are a good first step, but you should get that brain of yours looked at. You're talking about a monster that eats human flesh and sucks blood, and it's the reason you're injured right now. You're aware of that, right? Yes, but it did come here on some accord. No big troll in animals' urges and instincts, but someone summoned it here intentionally. If the star managers are correct, those people with the yellow cloth are responsible for one's family's decades of misfortune. Summoned and left abandoned by those lunatics, enduring 20 years of weakness, pain, hunger. In a sense, it was as much of a victim as everyone else in that family. Nico, if I was to fall from the 7th floor, would you save me? Feels like you have 9 lives. You'll be fine. Be serious for a sec. Well, if it isn't too much trouble, I'll lend you a hand, sure. But why? Because if you know someone's in danger, you can't just pretend not to notice. Thanks. It looks like you're a little more human than a monster, at least. Oh, zip it. I'm getting tired of your nagging. Detective Sirius' expression softened somewhat, but he goes on anyway. I've been thinking about this since yesterday, and now I've seemed to have an answer. You, me, the store manager, we're all human, and as such, there's a limit to our sense of justice. Our idea of justice comes from wanting to protect ourselves and our beliefs. Such is our nature as human beings. It makes sense to us. I became who I am in order to punish evil and protect good, but at the end of the day, it's just to protect whatever I perceived as common sense. To benefit others is good, to harm others is evil. It's that simple. I parted ways with my old mentor, who viewed things differently. Even so, he didn't deny me my ideal. I would do anything to defend it and protect us, like I did last night. In the end, it's just about practicing self-restraint as a human being. If you put it that way. Sen gave everything she had to protect her son. She was admirable mother, but it didn't do her any good. There's no way of treating someone like that, like as a family member, could ever end well. Yes, it was a monster, so even if she had kept going, it would have never ended up the way she wanted to. I wanted just for the dead, and I didn't want to give up on the family. I wanted more than anything to find an outcome where no one would get hurt, but that was just wishful thinking. The world didn't work that way. Even if everything she did came from the heart. Sometimes the line between humans and inhuman beings becomes blurred, and one day a situation such as last night will happen again, I guess. It's a tragedy in the process. There's no way to stop what's coming, only to see it through to the end and hope for the best. I could see why getting away from it all seemed like a smarter idea to my mentor. Huh? He didn't want to see a tragedy play out. To prevent a tragedy from happening, you need to end it before it begins. That's what Nico took away from just speech. The rather hopeless thought leaves her at a loss for words. Sorry about all my ramblings and whining. Do me a favor and help me out, okay? Ouch, ow. I should have been smart and worn thicker clothes yesterday. So what's next? First off, let's report to the store manager. The aftermath of this whole thing is going to be tricky, and I need some professional advice. That's not what I meant. You survived yesterday out of sheer luck. Not true. If you ever end up in a similar situation again, you won't be able to protect yourself. Yeah, that's right. You almost threw your life away, just like that. And for all we know, there are much bigger things out there. That's harsh, but I guess it's true. And you're still not giving up? I think you know the answer to that. Just how big of an idiot are you? It took a lot of work for me and the store manager to get away from this kind of stuff. You know, things that could potentially kill us. Even if pulling several all-nighters in a row, I still wake up from the nightmares. Then, an idiot like you turns up out of nowhere, nearly dies, and considers it trying it a couple more times. God, you're like a dumb child who hits his head on a roller coaster and screams again right afterwards. Were you at the scene earlier, weren't you? I don't think I'm better than anyone. I don't claim to have made the best choices. I know there are people who worked harder than I have been through more, and haven't given up either yet. Join the team, and you have to say goodbye to your insurance companies once for all. Yeah. I thought as much. So you too, huh? It's starting to feel like an actual job? We'll find a way to deal with anything. You'll regret it sooner or later. Then, wait until that moment comes before you roast me. Fine. You can talk to store manager yourself then. Nico tries to adjust Justin's slow pace, and she helps him along. There's still a way to go in the conversation. It's given her a lot to think about. Are you feeling better? Let's visit Miss Hoeg's grave. Where did that come from? There's someone I'd like to give her back. Is that so? Nico. You wish. Don't you think I'm a proper detective now? Who knows? choose sides to that question in the end. Some things are best left unanswered. Alright, there you go, that's chapter 2. This should have been a quiet night, but sometimes things don't play out just as expected. Truth be told, he doesn't even know why he's being chased, or by whom. But some tells him the guy with the weapon in his hand is running after him wouldn't exactly be interested to answer his questions. He ducks and dodges, sharply cutting corners in the attempt to shake the unrelenting pursuers. His pounding heart all but drowns out their loud, profane screams and shouts. Why? What's the reason for this? He thinks hard but can't recall getting into any trouble lately, at least not to the extent that justifies a grudge. He did his best to make peace with people in the neighborhood, even though he had issues in the past. Selling old scores is important, but this is just another reminder that some things can't remain buried in the past. Life's a cruel mistress, always has been. The more you try to avoid it, the harder it will come looking for you. He tries to move towards lively spots to seek shelter in large crowds, but his pursuers are always one step ahead, subtly blocking the path where there's potential opening. Fights and brawls among young thugs in the streets are nothing unusual, and bystanders tend to keep their distance so as to not get involved. He's seen situations like this play out before. Only this time, he's the victim. The later it gets, the fewer people are out and about. The night is now a thick veil of darkness, and the pale moon is the only thing guiding the boy's way. He runs into a remote park and hides in an overgrown bush. He's completely hidden in the shadows from a nearby streetlight. It's an unassuming spot, and nobody gives it a second look. More often you get in trouble, more important it becomes to always be prepared and have a backup plan. He can't even remember how often he's already been used to this spot in the past. He keeps his head low and tries his best to steady his breath. Few regular people have ever visited this place, which has naturally made it a spot for moral questionable activities and characters. It has been pretty much abandoned. All that remains is the nasty smell. Crap. Where did he go? I don't know, man. I don't know my way around this place. Damn it. I was so close, I almost had him. From what I've heard, he's a thug, just like us. Fast pair of legs in that one. We can't just let him escape to his own turf. Hard to tell where that is. The place has changed a lot from what I remember. Crap, this mining thing is tougher than I thought. Can't we still change our minds, bro? The guy's a slippery one. I'm sure there are a lot of others we could catch even more easily. We can't just change the targets. There are eyes everywhere. If you were more careful in the past, wouldn't be as many cops out and about. Oh, come on. That's way back in the past. You know, all that kicking and screaming just gets me hyped up. Their dialogue sounds familiar. Young delinquents just like himself. They don't seem to know the way around this neighborhood. But what is this mining thing they're talking about? It sounds strange familiar, but he can't place it. Where exactly has he heard that term before? We're all counting on this to make some extra cash, no mistakes. Yeah, whatever. The sound of footsteps getting louder. Luck really isn't on his side tonight. There's no escape, no run, clinches fast. He readies himself to strike first. But someone else faster. Who is it? Before he can even finish asking himself that question, a wave of fear sweeps over his whole body. Click, click. His hair stands on one end, he starts sweating profusely, and has a hard time breathing. Even though he can't make out what exactly he's looking at, it's enough to put his whole body in a state of shock. The voice is possible to describe. It sounds like nothing he's ever heard before. The symbols sound harsh, like they're being squeezed from the deep within the throat, accompanied by a slow and heavy breathing. He can't understand a word that's being said, but it's clearly some kind of language instead of just random sounds. Fear of the unknown has put him on edge. God, who's there? Who's making that noise? Stop hiding to come out. Is that you, Lee? You recognize him? He doesn't look so good. No, Lee isn't. Ah! What? He doesn't even pay attention to the two thugs running away in a hurry. All he can think about is how he's hidden in the dark, while that thing is out there in the open. Yet somehow, he isn't the one who feels helpless and at a disadvantage. Click, click. His body tremors as fear and doubt eat away his mind. He's still hiding in the bush, trying to make himself as small as possible. He's not in control. Fear has taken over and is paralyzing his body. A pair of eyes staring at him. Huge, gloomy eyes filled with evil intent. He can feel their sinister gaze creeping and crawling over his whole body. He can't even look away or close his eyes. Is hiding or trying to escape even worth it? Or should he just accept his fate? The feeling of revulsion is growing stronger by the second. By now, even the smallest speck of light has disappeared. The dark of the night is engulfing everything. Breathing rapidly, he suddenly feels a drop of liquid on his skin. Although he has just managed to get his breath under control, his whole body tenses up again in an instant. It's too much for him. He can't remember what weather forecast predicted for tonight. Overcast, with an occasional downpour of rain. Chapter 3. Run Boy Run. I can't believe it's already November. Time really flies by. A whole year of being stuck inside. Not being able to tell the difference between night and day. Why do you make that sound if there's something I should be worried about? Shouldn't you be? Maybe. I try not to think about it too much. It's almost winter. Even the afternoon sun makes feeling drowsy during this time of year. Perfect time for a nice, warm cup of tea. Unfortunately, Scarlet has a tendency to chug everything as if it's water. She has left a long sense of her appreciation for the little things in life behind. I mean, it's a bad idea. Judging by her expression, she's been on a caffeine binge for an entire month, and giving her anything of this sort might well have the opposite effect. Have your face covered in dark circles on your eyes. I take it the case is still a mess? Yeah, correct. I haven't slept in my own bed even once in the last 2 weeks. So, there's no progress whatsoever? It's not quite that bad. If it were, I'd seriously have to rethink what I do with my time. The only people we caught were half dead at the scene. They were completely insane and kept chanting strange things over and over. It's hard to count them as witnesses if you can't get a single coherent sentence out of them. Strange things? Any details? There's no time left. You can't delay the inevitable. The usual stuff, you know. The guards who have to keep an eye on them are going crazy. It's not like their minds are completely gone. If you speak to them in a harsh enough tone, they'll listen. Whether their answer actually makes sense is another story. So it's not totally impossible to get information out of them? That depends on how much sense you can make out of what they're saying. They keep saying that if they won't be freed and allowed to start over again, thunder will come crashing down the city once more. They say that they're the only ones who can prevent that from happening. Their words, not mine. Thunder? Any idea what that can mean? No, I don't. But they seem all scared. And they keep making it sound like a real big deal. I asked the guards to dig deeper, but I haven't gotten any response yet. Every single time you ask for one of them's about, they just cower and shake, claiming that they make the same mistake 20 years ago. That's interesting. If the guy who came by the shop was saying the truth, the ritual's purpose was to escape from this world. And now that means their escape is gone. It seems like most of them would have preferred a quick end, rather than prolonging what they perceived as pain. So their current situation is pure suffering? Have they said anything a little less cryptic about the consequences of it all? Sadly, no. They don't seem keen on learning from their mistakes. All we get is a little more unintelligible statements such as, "The city will be the birthplace of fear, and fear itself is the end." Let's not write that off immediately. The police may seem to take it seriously at all, but at least got something. And that's exactly why I can't just walk away from this. Your guy is called Justin, right? I really need to borrow him. I could use someone with such skills. He's in all kinds of trouble with his boss because of a series of murders still remain solved. Getting him could be very expensive from what I know. He's even being held for question at the moment. That's not an issue. Just tell me how much. Amazing, it's no different than buying a car to you, is it? That's a crap. I know where this is going. So, is it related to the accident? Yes and no. I struck a deal with my supervisors that allow me to continue our investigation there. Anyway, I found out one more thing that we can add to the pile of stuff we should be worried about. Scarlet seems stern and serious. That's normal for her, but it's even more apparent right now. Justin should be able to work under difficult conditions, right? He's used to running errands for you after all. I could really use it for this. Wait a second, you're not by chance talking about that recent string of kidnappings? While we were busy trying to make sense of everything, just managed to uncover several kidnapping cases, put the whole city on edge. I'm not sure about specifics, but according to the rumors going around, people in the southern part of the city have been going missing. It's actually a quite tricky situation. The area is so vast that even if the police were to step up their night patrols, it would be impossible to protect such a large area completely. I don't know how much truth there is to all that, but it's a hot topic discussion in the forums I use. People are panicking. At least you seem to pay attention to the other channels to the TV. Scarlet raised her eyebrows. The main problem with this case has been the delayed response. By the time the department got involved and started actively investigating, more than 20 people had already been reported missing. That number's still rising. The city's just too big to always keep an eye on everything. Although the Wuhan Road is somewhat quiet, it's still one of the busier areas of the city. The fact that I spent the whole last year hiding in Hermitage without anyone noticing says a lot about this city's spare police force. Most of their victims and beggars and vagabonds. Poor people with no place to stay. But there are also a few reports of young men with good standing who were originally abducted. Trust me, you wouldn't believe how chaotic this situation is at the precinct. The police are in their heads. If this case keeps developing in this direction, sooner or later, they'll be forced to hold a TV conference. Scarlet looks exhausted and frowns at the thought. I'll just have to take your word for it. Hey, wait a sec. You said we were originally abducted? What does that mean? Many of them turned up again. Scarlet slowly takes a sip of her warm coffee. Her words are more than a sigh than anything. Most of them are missing for more than 48 hours, but they were found in various parts of the city within a week, sometimes less. All of them conscious without any injuries or missing organs. The big problem here is that none of them can remember what happened during the time they were missing, and they have no recollection of it whatsoever. Since they turned up again, it would have been possible to keep a lid on the whole case, but a mole in this city hall must have leaked it to the press, and it ended up on the front page of the newspaper. She spreads the newspaper out in front of me, clearly annoyed. Collective amnesia kidnapping victims? What is the police keeping secret? These damn idiot people. They'll write anything to get attention, no matter how low they have to stoop. These are different from regular kidnappings. The fact that the victims show up again unharmed raises concerns about the perpetrator's true intentions. Sure, it's against relatives and the officials working the case, but it raises many questions. We need to find out the reason for the collective amnesia. This is more than a simple brainwashing, I'm sure of it. I put down the newspaper. It's easy to see how much of this case is eating away at Scarlet. Those people who turned up again, are they showing their symptoms? No, none whatsoever. They underwent full psychoanalysis and physical examination, but there are no anomalies, except for the missing memory. No signs of violence, no traces of drugs or other substances? That doesn't sound possible, does it? You think I'd be asking for your help if it did? No, you get all riled up. I'm just trying to help here. You sit around in your comfy chair all day. Don't try to make yourself sound cool. Hey, it's not like I've any time myself, okay? You don't know how much work it is to take care of a bookstore this big. Are you done crying? Please continue. Basically, Justin has experience working with you, which means he'll be more understanding and patient. Someone like him would be better suited to investigate this case than me. He'll also have to agree to this himself. He owes me a favor, but I won't make any decisions in his name or push him to do something he's not on board with. That being said, since you want his help, what's your opinion on the previous case? Sloppy work all over. The ability seems relevant now. But I would still like for it to be inspected. 2 senior citizens dead, a group of people who are impossible to talk to. It's a mess. They're either playing dumb. Well, they're playing dumb, probably because they're well aware of the massive trouble that they've gotten themselves into. So the case remains largely unsolved. Justin can't be happy with that outcome. Scarlet has fallen silent, and no longer seems in the mood to talk about this subject. I turn on the radio in an attempt to fight off the depressed atmosphere in the room right now. There's a harsh contrast between the happy sounds coming from the radio and the irksome silence in the room. In general, I relish the calm, but this is kind of the wrong. I feel as if a strange force is pulling me towards every single weird and unusual event in the city. A sudden horrific thought hits me. What if it never ends? Unfortunately, Scarlett's case work has come to an unexpected halt. It's weird. It's a weird convenience how, shortly after we discussed how Justin could help her, he saw nowhere to be found. He's not making calls, and messages don't seem to be getting through to him. I asked Nico for help, but even she couldn't locate Justin's phone. He probably turned his phone off and cut himself from the outside world completely. It's annoying, and even my patience has its limits. But at the same time, I can't help but admire stubborn detectiveness, decisiveness. This isn't the right moment to force him to do anything. I even had stopped Nico from using slightly less legal means to contact him. I sent him a message explaining the current situation and hopes of getting through to him, and that's that. Scarlett has no interest in waiting for a reply. She borrowed a key and is probably asleep on the couch by now. She really deserves a break. At last, after all these discussions and intricate cases details, I have hemorrhaged myself again. I should learn Church's choir moments more. Nico got up uncharacteristically early and left the store in a hurry. For a moment, a Hermitage reminds me of exactly how it was just a month ago. I might as well make more use of spare opportunities to rest. I dimmed the light and leaned back. Oh, I forgot her voice. Hey, Mr. Story Manager. Hello? Is anyone there? Salil, what a rare sight. After over half a month, you finally remembered to come visit. I'm sorry, Can I let him in first? It's dark, but in the dim light, I can see Salil isn't alone. Another student is standing at the doorstep next to her. That definitely isn't Elise. And who might this young fellow be? His name is Zach. He's a classmate. No, a friend, but, well, a classmate also. What? Never mind, come on, both of you. Don't just stand there. It's getting cold outside. I have the two of them signaling the manager. Relieved, she tugs at the boy's sleeve in order to get him to move inside. But he won't budge. Hey, Zach. Zach? Come on, move. With a sad expression on her face, Salil keeps tugging at Zach's sleeve. Salil, just to make sure, you're not still using the lilac grass, are you? What the hell? Of course not. Elise gave all that was left to you for safekeeping, didn't she? It's just that this young man right here looks awfully similar to how you two looked back when you were under the influence. You're saying that this is what we were like? That's what I think, at least. Salil genuinely doesn't seem to know what's going on. I walk up to the door to get a better look at the boy, who still doesn't move an inch. His frame isn't particularly broad, but he doesn't look frail or weak by any standard. It's easy to tell that he's muscular, even if he's just standing there with a bent back and slouched posture. The appearance of someone used to physical work. His fists look roughed, with calloused knuckles being the obvious indicator that he's been in frequent fights. His fingers are covered in scars. He might have a good heart, but I never imagined Salil hanging around with someone like him. It's Zach, right? Hey, listen, buddy. Why don't you step inside? Maybe have a warm cup of coffee? You look like you use one. If you want people to stop and stare, feel free to keep standing outside. Though I can't imagine that's what you want. Zach doesn't respond, but he obviously listened and understood. Little by little, step after step, he moves his legs and slowly enters the bookstore. So he's the quiet type? Mr. Store Manager, is he gonna be alright? I can't promise anything yet. He looks far from alright at the moment. Where'd you find him? At the school entrance? Well, when I found him there, he looked even worse, as if he had seen something horrible. He seemed fully out of it. My first thought was to bring him to you. I hope you know that I'm not a doctor, and that this is a bookstore and not a clinic. Anyway, you made the right choice. I reckon places would have not been much help. Let's step aside. Could you close the door for me? No erection at all. That's bad. There must be something healthier to do than smoking. I stuffed the cigarette into the ashtray at the loud sigh. Zach still hasn't said a single word since he entered. He just sits there, completely motionless, with empty eyes locked on something that isn't actually there. Can we use the same method we used back then? That was different. Back then, I knew you were under the influence of lilac grass, allowing me to treat you accordingly. In this case, we don't know what's wrong, making it hard to find the proper treatment. We can't just guess. So, do you know him well? Sort of. We were friends as juniors, but we really didn't keep in touch after we started high school. By the looks of his hands, he must have been in a lot of fights. Yeah, he's known as a rowdy delinquent. He doesn't seem to come to class very often, and if he does, he gets into fights with the teachers most of the time, and runs off again. I often see him wrapped in gauze and bandages. I see, someone who doesn't shy away from a fight. It's not surprising that he got himself into some sort of trouble. Do you know where he usually hangs out? I'm not sure. We sat next to each other sometimes, but he never talked about himself. I've heard other people say that the gang he runs with has a hangout spot not too far from the school, somewhere near Mansion Park, I think. Here in the end of the park instantly puts Zach into a state of high alert. Zach, calm down. Is there something in National Park? He still doesn't understand a word, but vigorously nods his head. I see. It must have been something truly awful to put you in such a state of shock. Zach continues to nod, but still can't seem to focus his eyes. Can you tell me what happened? I know you probably don't want to think about it, but it's important. There's not much Salil can do to help at this point. Any further information will have to come from Zach himself. Trust me, there's always ways we can help you. We can get to the bottom of this, but you have to work with me. You understand that, right? So what'd you see? I can't remember. Last night, when I left the internet cafe, they chased after me. I don't remember ever seeing them, but maybe they knew me from somewhere. I ran into Mansion Park, trying to hide from them. I know good spots there, but then there was that voice. Zach looks strange and isn't making much sense to anyone. Salil and I exchange confused looks. Those footsteps. Click, click. What? Heavy steps. The way it spoke. So strange. I couldn't understand. I've never heard something like that before. It was so disgusting. Everything was so strange. I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't breathe. I was drowning, and then it... And then... And then... And then... Zach suddenly starts moving, as if a wave of adrenaline swept over him. His eyes dart across the room nervously. His muscles tense and his fingers twitch as he starts to tremble. It's hard to tell what exactly he saw last night, based on his incorrect description, but it must have left him absolutely terrified. Something has to be done to help before he clearly loses it. I can try to calm him down, but he keeps shaking and I can't seem to get through him. Zach, please wake up. Don't do this to me. Slither grabs Zach's arm, but it doesn't seem to have much of an effect. What can we do? He seems... How should I know? Anyway, let's calm him down and... Out of my way. I can feel the impact of Scarlet's vicious slap just by watching it happen. Jeez. Slither shrieks, but then she notices that Zach's eyes focus again. He does seem to know what's going on, and he touches his red cheek. What happened to me? Don't worry. You just dozed off for a moment. Scarlet's answer is swift and nonchalant. She makes it seem as if this is for Slither me, who just stormed into the store and slapped Zach in the face. I feel like crying and laughing at the same time, so I turn my attention to Slil, who is still panicking a little. There's a fairly large green box in the bottom drawer of the big cabinet upstairs. Could you do me a favor and fetch it for me? Slil blinks, finally understands that she can do something to help. She runs off, disappearing into the back of the store. Box. What's in it? Some goodies he left behind. I cleared them away for after Elise woke up. Whatever happens, it has nothing to do with me. Do you have a better idea? No, go ahead. Zach ignores her comments. He hasn't fully recovered from the shock and still looks shaken up. My head hurts. You still can't remember? Sorry, my mind's blank. Don't force yourself. Salila is getting used to medicine. Don't worry about it. She knows how to use it, and if it's working, she probably won't answer if you ask her about it, though. What? Trust me on this one. If you don't get a good night's sleep tonight, you won't see the sun tomorrow. And if all you see is a bright white light, that's a whole nother story. Zach frowns, obviously hesitant. It's understandable, since you don't just accept a gift from a stranger, especially if you swallow it. However, he seems more sensible than Salil and Justin. After a long sigh, he nods at me. If I want more information from the boy in front of me, letting him get a good night's sleep is the best approach. Although we didn't make any progress today, acting on an impulse will cause trouble, and I need some time to prepare. Preparation is key. It's getting late. Do you have a place to sleep tonight? Zach lifts his wary face in reaction to my abrupt question. I can go home. That's good. Come back tomorrow then. Zach doesn't say anything and nods once more. Is that it, store manager? It looked like what you were asking for. Huh? You thought right. Go help with it. Okay, thanks for your help. She said thank you? Even though you didn't do anything at all? Slither remembered her past self, but now it's her turn to help others. So what's next? Do you think there's a connection? All eyes Scarlet. As expected, she looks serious as ever. Strange footsteps, unintelligible languages, some sort of scary presence, and memory loss. God loves to play with us mortals who struggle in the dark. Do you know a priest who can exorcise evil spirits? Nothing good, but plenty of bad. Luck really does not seem to be our side lately. God, what a surprise. More trouble. Scarlet came up with some new ideas after Zach's visit, meaning she only stayed at Hermitage for a short while before returning to her investigative work. I'd love for her to find some time to rest and recover, but that's not what she wants to hear. She works tirelessly until it's possible to stop her. It's just that she's one of the very few people who can help the current problem. Having sent out Nico, I've pretty much played all my cards now. Everything's a mess. Please call back. Unlucky. Justin didn't leave me waiting for too long. I heard you're looking for me. Yes, are you still out of town? Yes I am. Anyway, can you come by the store tomorrow? No problem. I want to tell you something, but I'll tell you once I'm back. This means we'll be able to get some things done tomorrow. I'll release a sigh and try to cheer myself up. Alright, so let's look at the MMO Central Forums again. Paintings on silk canvases are really undervalued. Okay. Sure. Not sure if any of this is ever relevant in any way, shape, or form, but I discovered something odd in my research recently. I've noticed a sudden 6% spike along the way. Okay. There's some strange traditions in the South to know about. Maybe ones that could explain the surge in crime numbers? I mean, probably. Never kid figured as much anyway. Okay. Why not leave analytics to the professionals? Oh boy. Okay, this link again. A loud noise reported all over the internet today. Hint, the author has been banned and this comment has been removed automatically. Okay. I think I saw the same post a few months ago, and even read the same responses. Sure. Okay. More from this thread again. Okay, that's about everything here. Not sure if any of that's relevant whatsoever. There's local news on TV. Seems like nobody's talking or thinking about the murders anymore. People these days are so easily distracted by all kinds of multimedia entertainment surrounding them. Every week there's some new hot topic, then everyone instantly moves on to the next one. I guess that's how it's always going to be. These people are getting drawn to gossip, but ultimately they only look at it as another form of entertainment, quickly consumed and easily forgotten. Okay, we got some more messages here from Nico. I'm ready to come back. The bank will have to wait. Both of you get home safely? Yeah, things went well. It's a pretty shoddy low-rent apartment, so I guess he'd have to live with his parents. Well, we'd both be lying if we said he didn't already expect something along those lines. So, don't sound following you? No, and I paid really close attention. What are you so worried about? There's just something about those people that bothers me. Anyway, it's fine. You should come back here. It's dangerous out there at night. Okay. Alright, and next is Halloween. Didn't you say it was November? Weird. Whatever, it's Halloween now. Although the early morning light from the sun rising already made him from opening his eyes, The shadows from within firmly remain. Another day. He's already finished his daily morning walk to the park. For some reason, the eyes gazing at him make him feel a piercing pain, as if pins and needles are violently being jammed through his skin. Every single casual glance is enough to cause this intense, painful sensation. He tries to steady his breath. He tries to stay calm and focused on getting rid of nightmares lingering in the back of his mind, but it's futile. This is different than being stared at. Different than being the subject of gossip while people whisper behind your back. Zack knows that he has a bad reputation, but he doesn't let that bother him and doesn't complain about it. This is the first time he's ever felt this kind of maliciousness towards him. His only instinct is to run, and where's better in this place, but where to? No voice, no response, not a single supposed friend who picks up the phone. Here's what's going on. You can't spend years on the streets and remain naive. It just doesn't mix well. But now that things are actual reality and no longer hypothetical, the sadness is overwhelming him. He's not prepared for this. Going home? Not an option. It's not even a place he ever wants to return to. There is no choice but to keep walking, one step at a time. But just because a journey is short doesn't mean it's going to be an easy one. The sun rises and shines. That's not a real word. That's not a real word. That can't be a real word. Emancipating? Emancipating radiance. What? Illuminating? I don't know. Whatever. It's around 9 o'clock. Usually Hermitage doesn't expect guests at such an hour, but today's visit hours are a little different. Salil and Zack are standing in the store. Salil seems to be in good spirits. Zack's condition's a little better than yesterday, but still shaken up. He seems a little uncomfortable. Maybe he isn't accustomed to being a guest. Whatever he thinks will change what needs to happen next. You look better. Did you take your medicine? Yes, thank you. I'm feeling a little better already. I can't sleep, though. I'm not sure if putting that patch on him is a good idea. I apologize, I was lying before. According to the doctor, that thing doesn't really promote a good night's sleep. That's... What wasn't a lie, however... Well, what wasn't a lie, however, is that's for some good. I'm feeling a little numb. That's pretty much what I expected. I pick up my pen and artificially avoid the strange glance Salil throws in my direction. Now that you're a little calmer, we have a chance to talk about the whole thing in more detail. You're in a really bad state yesterday, so I'd like to tell you to tell us about what you encountered through the evening in as much detail as possible. I reckon you've quit smoking? No, I'm good. I can tell he's a smoker, or he used to be, when he hesitantly extends his hand without thinking about taking a cigarette. I notice his slightly yellow nails. You've probably heard about my current situation, right? Most of it, I guess. You don't seem to go to school much. That's right. Things just aren't going very well. But what do you plan on doing? Salil, remember that guy who used to call everyone Fatty? Who everyone used to call Fatty? The one who used to wait for me in front of the school when I was a junior? Big, strong, and cussed a lot? Yeah, that's the one. We're a team, well, sort of. It's been over 2 years. Actually, it's been more than 2 years. The guy was my childhood friend. Kinda. Anyway, there's been some recent developments. I've run into some trouble. No kind of trouble. It's just a way of getting by. All I need to do is call favors from people every now and then. I'm not the best at conversations, but it's a good opportunity. However, he's my supervisor of sorts. He's been keeping an eye on me, making sure I don't run places I shouldn't run off to. So I've been trying to stay with him lately. So nothing's changed? That's right. Damn, trust me, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have stayed with him. Anyway, the day before yesterday, around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're gonna hit up the internet cafe and play some games. Ultimately, The other two guys never showed up and didn't answer the phone, left me hanging. So you went to his place? No, what do I care? I was gonna enjoy myself. I kept playing till around 7 or 8. Still no reaction from him, so I got a little worried. You know how things about there, especially when it gets dark. But we haven't really caused any trouble, at least not recently. So it wasn't likely that he'd pick up by a patrol or something. Just as I was thinking that, some jerks waltzed in and started harassing me, calling me names. That's when they chased you through the streets and you hid in the nearby park? Yeah, that's sort of our hangout spot south of the city. I know the place pretty well. All the trails and hiding spots. If they blindly chased you into your own territory, they can't be too familiar with the situation, right? That's why it was weird. I thought about it again last night, and I really haven't seen them before. Of course, in a fight, it's impossible to remember everyone's face. Anyway, I hid. I'm not some kind of alpha wolf. I won't act a fool to prove something. Sure, there's days where you just wait for someone to look at you the wrong way, but man, those guys chase me. You could tell they're bad people. Neither me nor Fatty would ever hang out with guys like that. You're talking about this in a very nonchalant way. 2 years is crap and you get used to it. Zach looks as unconcerned as one can look whilst talking about gang brawls. A guy like him is reckless and probably wears the chaos he causes like a medal of honor. Under any other circumstances, I would have stopped showing goodwill by now. So you've managed to hide, escaping the group that chased you, but not the other thing? That's right. Oh, by the way, I realized that yesterday that I got a text from Fatty whilst I was running away. Let me show you. So we both leaned and checked in his phone screen. Run. Did Fatty call the guys who chased Zach around? Although we can't rule out that possibility, just from what Slim and Zach told me, him and Fatty seem to be on good terms. Still, he isn't at least aware of the situation, yet he didn't come to Zach's aid? According to Zach, they haven't been getting into much trouble lately, so it's a strange time to pick a random fight. I'll take a closer look and see. The message was sent around midnight. Even Zach had seen it earlier. The whole thing happened around 8, meaning it wouldn't have been much of help to him. If that's the case, I'm afraid I can only draw one very unpleasant conclusion. The same thing must happen to Fatty. Most of the people who have disappeared are homeless, vagabonds, or beggars. All of them are poor, but there are also records of young men in good standing who have been abducted. You should see what an absolute messed up police situations right now. Pure chaos. If this keeps up, they'll have to hold a press conference and speak to the public about it. Zach and Fatty both fit that description. If someone to Fatty, he might be in the hospital. Not for long though, as they wouldn't want to carry such a financial burden for long. I'm not afraid of the kind of people who send blackmail letters. It's the ones who remain silent that worry me. Rumors of kidnappers have spread through the city, but this is by no means the worst of it. The trail left by the Visionary Society was much more subdued, but the consequences were much more serious. Zach, apart from you and Fatty, who else knew you'd be at the internet cafe? Huh? Well, truth be told, I don't really talk to people about it. I don't really like being around others that much. So apart from Fatty, the only one person could be known, I guess. And who'd that be? Another juvenile from the school next door. His name's Jeremy. We found out that we were taking the same way home, so we started hanging out together. He was supposed to meet at the cafe. But you said you're at the place alone the whole evening. Man, that guy's brain is with cheese. It wouldn't surprise me if he just forgot about it. I wouldn't have even bothered to come. But he told me he invited Fatty too, and that's why I said yes. So you know each other well. I mean, it's whatever. We see each other like twice a month. He usually hangs around with other guys. And yet, the day before yesterday, he went out of his way to call you instead. I don't want to make any unfounded assumptions, but you mentioned earlier that he was the one who called you and your friend Fatty. Yeah, that's right. Zach's voice is tremulous as he speaks, and he never showed up that night. Well, like I said. Plus, you didn't recognize any of the guys who came to you. Taking all that into account, the only person who could have found Fatty that night and tipped off these unknown strangers would have been... fuck this. Not sure if I said that in the right voice for that character, but... whatever. Slow's eyes widen at the sound of a sudden outburst of cursing, while Zach jumps up angrily. Son of a bitch. Zach? Hey Zach, calm down. Zach peers out of sight while I'm still speaking, though I highly doubt my words would have been effective anyway. We can't even be sure it's him yet. What a temper. Syl looks even more surprised than me. He's always been like this, unable to think straight, always acting impulsively whenever he gets angry. Once he even punched a teacher. You could have told me that earlier. Yeah, I'm sorry. Never mind. Let's figure out how to get to him later. I scratch my head and reach for my pen. It's always hidden guys like him that cause him most trouble. He's way too young to act like this. He should act his age. I really like young people like that. Ooh, alright. Alright. Slow's trying to pinpoint Zach's whereabouts. Life on streets has its own rules, so language. It's hard for Syl to fit in. An ordinary, disciplined girl whose life revolves around the arts and diligent study doesn't quite fit the profile. With Nico's help, this might have been easier to solve, simply because she's more accustomed to that lifestyle. Unfortunately, Scarlet brought her to investigate the archives, so she's not available at the moment. I can only hope and pray that Zach's hot-blooded temper doesn't cause him more problems. He might realize the gravity situation, but Zach's involved in something very dangerous. I just hope that he calms down fast enough. Rash decisions are the last thing anyone needs to worry about now. Technology. These days, turning off your phone is the equivalent of vanishing the face of the Earth, it seems. Oh, come on. Give me a break. Just steps to the door. The detective's face is a little colder and a lot less expressive than usual. Maybe because something made him smile, maybe because he's in a bad mood, maybe both, but either way, it's not good news for me. It's just one mess after another. Can't I ever catch a break? I can't help but sigh. It's times like this that make me admire Scarlet's and her stoic attitude. She can laugh and joke while the world around her is burning. It's admirable. So, now I'm a detective. What news to bring? Sure you don't want to go first? Let's go through this one at a time. You start. Fine by me. He looks very bad. Looks like there's a veil of worry shrouding his face. The things he experienced still haunt him, which is obvious in the fact that he looks as if he's just seen a ghost. I'm sorry to worry about what he might say, whether it would be smarter or not to let him speak. Because this whole incident, my boss encouraged me to take a prolonged vacation, which is a roundabout way of firing me. So I suddenly left with only a few odd jobs for my past connection. One of those jobs is to investigate an area along the city's outskirts. The details in the job sounded very concerning. Let me just cut in and say that you still have the courage to get involved in these things voluntarily. Can't go against my nature, you know. Plus, there's rumors of a cult becoming increasingly active in the region. All the evidence points towards the rumors are actually being true. The locals look scared and worried, as if they're afraid of something. I managed to dig up some information about a strange group of outsiders that moved in over the last 2 years. Strange group, you say? Or since they arrived, several disappearances have reported in that area. There is no evidence that had anything to do with them. There weren't at the scene, and they had no connection to the victims. However, the arrival is the only thing that hasn't changed in that area recently. Yeah, that makes it sound even more suspicious. That's just the way the locals say. But no professional investigation was ever conducted. So all I have is hearsay. In places like that, there are always people ready to talk. I assume you found someone more willing to spill all the details? Justin shrugs as if to quickly dismiss my attempt at flattery. The group came from a place called Yuhai Village on the southern coast, and their surnames are almost identical. That points to a traditional, well-preserved clan structure. What about their age? Are there many young people with them? Yes, quite a few in fact. In rural villages with an intact clan structure and hierarchy, people rarely move away all at once. In the rare cases that they do, the families inevitably exchange their surnames. Well, that's not the case here, which indicates that there's not much time has passed since the group has started migrating. You're right. That makes sense. What could cause such a large group of people to relocate? It's not easy to travel someplace new with that many people. It's something you do for fun, after all. There seems to be a big fish in the industry who's hiring people from his old hometown as laborers. But that doesn't sound like some giant type of business. It's still better for them than back home. This is a big city with lots of opportunities, after all. He owns a building in the southern part of the city. It's pretty impressive, and the money involved in that piece of real estate is mostly unaccounted for. Can't that be traced by going through the building's owner's assets? Yep, and it is even difficult. He owns such a building, and is very active in the real estate sector. Many bestsellers have been published about him and his sunrise to riches. So, you suspect that he's from the village? He's never mentioned his origins even once. Such a large group of people all coming to the same place at the same time for employment? There's a reason for that. Furthermore, there are rumors of strange statues in his office, which, in light of what's happening, is very suspicious. But that's pretty common, especially in southern coastal regions. Gawain is part of many religions there. It's not really surprising to see a statue in his office, especially if he's from there. You're right, but I'm not convinced yet. The expression turns more brooding and ominous. Well, what's the matter? I think I might have seen that strange vision of one in my own eyes. He takes that picture to show me. The photo was clearly taken secret. It's dimly lit, and the outline of a statue is barely visible in the image. Even with such crude quality, the photograph is still overflowing with a sense of distortion. It's as if desperately squeezing its way into my eyes. It really is a very unusual Gwen statue. To the times, Gwen portrays multiple arms. However, the statue is different. Each arm has a strange softness to it, like tentacles on an octopus. Stretched out like that, it's hard to tell how many joints the arms actually have. Details of the face are hard to make out since it's mostly in the shadow. I can make out a sinister mark, and something resembling a bite marks in the corner of its mouth. It's very unsettling, enough to send a shiver down my spine. I reach out and turn the phone upside down before placing it in the ashtray, gesturing for Justin to continue. I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say. It's not a good habit to judge people based on their appearance, but I really can't lie to myself and act as if everything's fine with that photo. Just nods in agreement. I had to dive right in. I couldn't let go. That's why my phone's turned off over the last 2 days. Fieldwork? That's right. I grew closer to people from the village and found out that they call this Bautista Great Mother. That's strange. It doesn't sound like an appropriate name. I think I've heard that name somewhere else before. Right? I had the same feeling, and I'm not even familiar with folklore. So all this is fairly recent. Most of the new arrivals are young who are able to work, and many don't take their older family members with them. The fewer adults are wary and not talkative at all. It took me a while to find a kid who was willing to talk. A kid? And you're sure the information is reliable? I have my ways. Kids are very bad liars. I think I've been doing this job long enough to notice if someone's lying. You can't just go around intimidating children. You know that, right? Oh, come on. Who do you take me for? I I just feed them candy until they talk. It's all strict in the book. I got some information out of the kid, but many of my questions remain unanswered. The grown-ups obviously don't share everything with their children, or involve them in matters. That's understandable, but it's a lot better than nothing. Yeah, the clues aren't painting a clear picture. No, how so? I don't want to stay for too long. The kid needs to sleep after all. Before I left, however, I asked him about the candy he gave me. I said, "Is it good?" "It's delicious. It's a lot better than the fish." That was his answer. Then he added, "The fish is okay, but if it's not raw." I was baffled and thought I misunderstood him, so I quickly asked him what he meant. The kid said that his dad wanted him to eat raw fish for a couple of days to get used to the taste. Justin looks very uncomfortable as he recounts the conversation. I can vaguely imagine the picture in my mind. A young child trying to gnaw on raw fish with a mouthful of blood. Getting used to the taste of raw fish? Yeah, but his dad's been very busy at work lately, come home late every day. Because of that, it hasn't happened as often the last 2 weeks. Does his father work with other people from the village as well? I don't know, but by the look of it, that kid, from the looks of that kid, I guess his family isn't rich. You are, after all, an outsider. There's a good chance that the boy's family has taught him not to talk to strangers about his family business and such. That would be no unusual no matter where. That wouldn't be unusual no matter where. Yeah, you're right. Oh, but there's one more thing. The kid mentioned another grown-up apart from me who recently arrived. Oh? The man dressed in red, missing both of his ears. He stayed for a few days and was never seen again afterwards. Every time the child's father came back from meeting that man, he would get very angry, complaining about things like outsiders really don't understand, and he doesn't deserve to be here. The boy was especially careful around me at first, which makes me think that I had said something wrong. But after I found out about this, I realized that he simply wasn't worried, or that he was simply worried that I would make his dad just as angry as the other guy did. Sounds like the group doesn't like outsiders, even a big city such as this. Not long after the man disappeared, many of the boy's other family members started leaving for long periods of time, just like his father, which only started happening over the last 2 months, or the last month or two. Interesting. Get the general idea. I prefer Justin to have taken a spontaneous vacation some other time. The exact situation probably wouldn't have been good enough to put Justin's investigation on hold. Torrent. But that's not the worst of it. Something bigger than a trade-off between two cases, a much more frightening thought, is beginning to creep in my mind. No, not yet. There's a lot more digging to be done. If I'm going to prove anything, I'm going to need a lot more information from Zach. Not yet. What are you talking about? Trust me, you'll know soon enough. I stopped Justin's question with a look. This group does sound like a piece of work. I'm afraid you might have more on your plate than you expected. It's already getting dark outside, and only a glimmer of light up from the edge of the canopy is lingering into the store. Let's hope you stick around until we find more. Now you explain your side of the story. Let me lay some things on you. Up into my room and make a beeline for my cozy old couch. Although I've made several attempts to tie up the past, Hermitage always managed to find a way to mess things up. Once chaos prevails, it's even harder to restore any semblance of order. Who cares? Same as usual. Same as always, business as usual. Oh. That was a quick day. History of GBF plugins and Dog Eat Dog. What? Stop banning people for trying to optimize your game. Okay. I have no idea if any of this is ever relevant whatsoever. It doesn't seem like it. 13 members of a Thai soccer club disappear after in a cave, yeah. Today's everyone still alive. I wonder if the miners could bring them out one by one? Wait. What? Yeah, in the cave were covered by search rescue personnel, so they survived. So they've survived, and this guy is still trying to get them out. So this is the internet, okay, that's good to know. A lot of stuff here, but not gonna look too much into that. Alright. Let's look at the TV real quick here. It's not a news channel. Don't think that matters. Alright. Alright. But yeah, let's do this episode of Hermitage here. See you guys next one. Peace.